And welcome inside the Backstage Pass. It is a Thursday, May 18th. Hard to believe another week in May, and we're done. We'll welcome in June. The calendar flips over, and almost half the year is gone here in another month or so. We're presented by our friends over at Bangtail Whiskey. We love to drink here and drink responsibly. We do here on the Backstage Pass, so check them out at bangtail.com, also easyliquor.com, and of course, Total Wine and Specs in Nashville, Tennessee. And of course, our friends at Honky Tonk, Texas. Tomorrow night, we'll be out there with our good friend Randall King doing some show promotions, and good buddy Clay Hollis opening for Randall tomorrow night. Still some tickets left at honkytonktexas.us. And of course, our Gentle Ben guy, Gentle Ben Spirits, Ricky Ford. I love it. I made myself a drink last night, was tasting the vodka, the gin, the bourbon. Fantastic. Check him out at gentleben.com. Well, I tell you what, we met this gentleman in Nashville. He's one of the top names out there, kicking ass and taking names in country music. I love his stuff. He's stretching those cultural bounds in country music with his variety. I love it. Debut album is coming out July 7th. Frank Ray to the program. Frank, what's up, man?
What's up, y'all? Thanks for having me. I love that you said cultural bounds, and I have a little mini bottle of Tahiti. It's like it goes in my pocket everywhere, man. That's the most thing I've ever done.
I love it.
Yeah, you have such an amazing energy in your music and this pop country, and then it moves into a little bit of Latin, and you're singing Spanish to us, and then there's horns. And just talk to us about sitting down with Mickey Jack Combs, right? You did a lot of the music with him and being like, let's dig into the roots. And then talk to us about what the feedback is from your family and just how proud they are.
Yeah, I mean, it's been really, really awesome to kind of put my own flavor onto this whole project. It took me a while, I think, to really kind of find out the kind of music that I wanted to put out there. You know, when I first started my career, when I first started getting into music, I was like in a pop punk band. And
That's so funny.
Yeah, I think everybody goes through that phase, right? But it was just like, okay, so I'm trying to emulate these guys that are in that world. And of course, I mean, country music, I've always kind of had that little bit of that, I grew up with it. And so I've always had a little bit of that twang that I would incorporate. But I found myself like really emulating the people that I looked up to, trying to imitate Tracy Lawrence or George Strait and all that stuff. And it just, really wasn't who I was. It wasn't really authentic to me. And, obviously there's still some of that element that kind of comes out to it, but really trying to find my voice. I guess it's just a long way of saying I found my voice, and we were able to get really, really creative when we put this project together. And Frank Rogers is the one who produced it and really kind of took me under his wing when I first came to Nashville. And, that's kind of where we started figuring out what Frank Ray was going to sound like, who's this guy? And so we, they started really kind of digging deep and peeling off these little layers of my personality. And, this project that we're about to put out is the best reflection of who I am as a person and as an artist. And I'm really, really pumped about it.
And the project that's coming out, for those of you that don't know and are tuning in, this is July 7th. We're gearing up for a bunch of awesome music. I actually got a behind-the-scenes sneak peek of some songs for in Dolby Atmos with Jeff Huskins. And he was playing me some of your tunes, which I loved. I think it was Streetlights, Y'all Showed Up, Prettiest Girl at the Bar, Spring Break. And then, of course, he turned around and pointed out your tequila. So is that how you celebrate? Talk to us about your tequila really quick.
Yeah. Pantera Negra is the company that we work with. I discovered them through a company down here in Nashville, and they were, looking for branding and stuff like that. Needless to say, we didn't broker a deal. But, shortly after, the CEO of the company, hit me up in the DMs, and he was like, hey man, I for whatever reason, it didn't work out with this third party. How about I just bring you some stuff, come over to the house? And we came over to the house, and ironically, I was making tacos. So it was a perfect taco Tuesday.
Yes.
Yeah. But he let me sample the tequila, and it's just some of the best tequila I've ever had in my life. And I don't say that, as a biased individual. It is so good. The craft and the art that they put into making their tequila is incredible. And so, needless to say, I've had plenty of it. And
nice.
There's been a lot of things to celebrate this year, and so it's been really, really cool. But I'm really glad you guys got to experience the Dolby Atmos.
Yeah, how crazy is that?
It is incredible. Just mind blowing. You know, even when you're drunk on tequila, it's
Yes.
you enjoy it like in this really cool headspace, and it was just really, really, really awesome. I'm so proud of this album. I'm glad you got to hear some of those songs. You know, the album has a little bit of everything. You know, it really does take. I really want people to have an experience when they listen to this. If there's something for everybody on this album, and if there's not, then I jokingly say you are just dead inside, probably.
So honing in on a specific song, like Y'all Showed Up.
Mhm.
I mean, that makes you immediately want to dance and groove with it. I mean, I'm so excited for that song to come out and to see like maybe a music video if that's gonna happen. But that song in general, talk to us about writing
Mhm.
that and
Well, that's just we took a couple of my songwriting buddies, and we had a retreat out in South Carolina, and that's where we wrote majority of these songs. And Y'all
okay.
Showed Up was just that. They kind of, the guys were kind of, they came with the idea. They kind of had something. They had the bones of it. They had a really rough demo. Kind of, this is what the groove is going to be like, but it felt real familiar and kind of linear. And uh, you know, we kind of tweaked it a little bit, and before you know, we had this kind of like Sugar Ray kind of vibe. You know, and it was just this really cool thing that happened, and from there, the song just kind of, you know, it took a whole new life, and it was just like, man, this is a party song. This is
Mhm.
that it talks about that moment that everybody's had where you're just like, I think I'm gonna call it a night, and
Yes.
dude, I'll be at the bar in 10 minutes. I'll just wait there, and you know, before you know it, you're there. It's 2 a.m. and you ask yourself, how the hell did this happen? I don't know. Yeah.
That's amazing. I also want to commend you on all these songs have quite a range. You are jumping up to these notes that there is not that many people, especially males in country music, that can hit right now. Have you been hearing that a lot as far as feedback?
Yeah. Sometimes I kick myself in the butt for having gone for those notes because I figure I got to sing them for the rest of my career, and no,
Yeah.
I think it's you know, that's part of, you know, talking about earlier, trying finding my voice and knowing what I can do, and really just getting creative with that was a fun part. So just going into the vocal booth and to the studio as we were laying these songs down, and the more that I lived with them, the more I was like, oh, it'd be cool if I did this here. Oh, what if this like kind of did a little descending kind of thing? I mean, it's just you know, the toolbox. You reach into the toolbox and do, you know,
Mhm.
try to make the best product you possibly can with what you have to work with.
Well, and you've done
Awesome.
that too, and I love the fact that you enrich so much in your Mexican culture, and I know that too because one of my favorite cities to travel to down here. You grew up in Texas, you know about it. I live in Texas now. I love to travel to San Antonio and just the diversification of the music. I mentioned, stretching those country music boundaries, Frank. A lot of it too, because there's that flair that we're talked about, the '90s Texas country, the Latin R&B, pop, everything on this record. How important was it to get a piece of that, the Mexican culture that you're enriched in, and bring that, you're right, to the record? Because if people don't like it, they're probably, you're right, dead inside.
That was I think that was part of the allure when I got my record deal, was they wanted to see what my contribution to country music would be, um, and as one of the few, if not the only, well, I shouldn't say that. There's a Cat and Alex, or another Latin artists, I think
Mhm.
Puerto Rican and Cuban, uh, but I think it was just between me and them. We're the only ones in the game right now, and I think we've had some really good uh, success with country radio and stuff. So I mean, I say it with some confidence. I think we're pretty much pioneering this whole new movement when it comes to, you know, the Latinos in country music. And so to say that that was part of the appeal is an understatement. But we also wanted it to be authentic, and we wanted it to be right. I didn't want it to feel gimmicky, and I didn't want it to feel like what people think Mexican music sounds like. Right? I wanted to bring them Mexican music, whether it was in the form of a mariachi song, a ranchera, tejano, cumbias, and you know, reggaeton, whatever it is. I wanted to bring that flavor into it, and it took us a while. It took me a while to find that right blueprint, but you know, I wrote with Frank Rogers and Bobby Hamrick, they're good friends of
Mhm.
mine. I spoke up about this very issue. I said, I feel like I'm writing a lot of tequila taco songs. It's not feeling right, man. It's not. It's feeling very Mexican restaurant right now. And they were like, well, what do you have in mind? I said, you got to think Despacito. And you guys kind of got a little taste of how we meshed that together. And I said, you got to think in that world, right? The Spanish is the language of love. You know, we got to get sexy with it. And we wrote Streetlights, and I felt like that was the blueprint for any time we wanted to write anything with a Latin element from there.
Yeah,
I
good
love
stuff.
that.
Love
So
that.
we're so happy to have you on today. I wanted to make sure to ask you, talk to us about your influences, people that you listen to growing up on any spectrum, any genre.
Yep.
Just, yeah.
Well, I think that's why my album is going to sound the way it is, because I have all these different influences. I mean, from Brian McKnight, Whitney Houston, Boyz II Men, to Emilio Navaira or Luis Miguel, Vicente Fernandez, Pedro Infante, Selena, and then of course in the country music world you got George Strait, right? You got Tracy Lawrence is one of my biggest influences. Clint Black, Reba, all the greats. It's been really, really cool to kind of draw from all that and make it into what is now the artist Frank Ray, right?
Cool. Well, today's the King's birthday, so I got to throw one out there for the King, George Strait. Happy birthday to the King of country music too. We got more with Frank Ray, could be another King of country music too. I'd say he's bringing his flair to the game right now too. Again, the self-titled album, Frank Ray's coming out July 7th, pre-save now, pre-order, and check out the songs we're talking about too. We're going to come back and talk a lot more about two of those songs here. Somebody Else's Whiskey, and one of my favorites off the album, Back Before My Time. Can't wait to ask Frank about that one too, because that's got that 90s flair to it. Quick time out here for our friends at Bangtail Whiskey. We love to drink here. Check them out at bangtail.com. And, of course, their friends at Gentle Ben Spirits. More here on the Backstage Pass, powered by the Sports Guys podcast.com. More with Frank Ray coming up. Stay tuned.
The Bangtail pour is comprised of a sweet corn mash base. The front has a subtle sweetness and not too sharp. It has notes of a medium char or white oak for a smoky flavor in the middle. And the tail has a super smooth and warm finish.
Go behind the scenes with some of the biggest artists in music today with the Backstage Pass, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. Join Brandon Morrill and his co-host Kirsty Krause as they talk to rising stars and legends about their music careers. Listen to their latest tracks and learn fun facts about the men and women behind the music you love. And be sure to tune into the Backstage Pass Monday through Friday from 3:30 to 6:30, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. And welcome into the Backstage Pass. And back here with Frank Ray on the show again. The self-titled debut album, July 7th, is coming out, and it's exciting about that, like the flair of music we've been talking about there. A little bit of everything on it, from the Mexican culture to Latino music to R&B to the 90s country flair to everything. And Frank's done a hell of a job on this music. It's so authentic. I love it a lot out there. Pre-save, pre-order now. Give him a like on his page out there, and check out FrankRayMusic.com for a show near you. So this one I had to ask you about because it had that 90s flair to it. Before I went to break there, Frank, was Back Before My Time. And we were in Nashville at CRS doing all the stuff out there for the media stuff in the room. And I talked to Tracy Lawrence a little bit about that comeback now. It's starting to kind of get a feel of the 90s country music is coming back. People have a thirst for it. That song, Frank, took me back to 25, 30 years ago. And I know you guys have to be very proud of Back Before My Time.
He's getting the audio back, he said. He's like private chatting us.
Right,
so he's going to come right back in. He just said, I can't hear you. And I was like, try popping in and out. But
yeah. No, I just love that song. And I'm sure that's one of the ones, if you pre-save now, pre-order, it just takes you back to what 90s country is all about. So I love that one so much. But hey, there he goes. We'll get him back here, Frank, back here on the show too.
Perfect.
All right, can you hear us now? You hear us a little bit? There you
Awesome.
go.
I
No,
don't know, man.
it's technology. What can you do?
Yeah.
No, I was talking a little bit about the Back Before My Time, coming back from break there. But that one, Tracy Lawrence walked in the booth at CRS. We're up there doing the media coverage. And as soon as he walked in, we're talking about the thirst and the feel of like 90s country coming back now from a lot of artists that are bringing it. And you kind of brought it in this song, Frank, Back Before My Time, because you really hit on
You're
a lot
going
of
Dolly.
cool things. And
Yeah.
just everything out there of like what makes country music country music.
Exactly right. You know, funny story. Monty Criswell and Derek George are the other songwriters on that, and they called me out of the blue one day, and I answered, not even a hello. I said hello, and they go, "Hey, when were you born?" I said, "Well, okay, hello. It's a way to start the station," but I said, "Well, I'm born in '87. What's up?" And they go, "Well, we got this idea for the song called Back Before My Time, but these artists that we want to reference, we want to make sure that they're not." Obviously after 1987. So I said, okay, cool. I'm excited to hear it. And I got down to, the retreat in South Carolina, and they kind of had the gist of the song. And I was like, this is absolutely in my lane. I love this. This is why I fell in love with country music in the first place was, all that time I spent in the 90s listening to country radio is just, I was drawn to that kind of sound. And I think that's what this does. And the song is, but it's not just that. Like, it's very nostalgic, but we have this really cool modern take on it. Even going into the second verse, the drums do this really cool rhythmic change in the pattern, and it just takes you somewhere else. I don't know. I can't help but crack open a beer every time. Every time every time he comes on, I'm just like, all right, let's go. Let's go time.
That is one that, yes, a crack open beer. And coming from the country as I did, that was one of the things. Like all the ingredients were there. It's like a good Sunday cooked meal. You had all the ingredients right there in the palm of your hand too.
The metaphors.
Hey, let's talk about somebody else's whiskey, because this also had a good feel. We talked about y'all showed
funny.
up. That was funny. It was good, and it was one of those songs that. Again, lyrically, y'all hit the nail on the head, and I thought it was a fantastic job really putting your sound and bringing out the artist Frank Ray in this one.
Is this based on a true story?
No. I'm a happily married man. It's all good. Yeah, if my wife watches this, she'd be like, you better not say anything. No. That song title came from Frank Rogers, and I didn't know he had it in his phone or laptop or something for probably the better part of 6 years, the way he tells his story. Never really found anyone he wanted to write it with, and it was always intended to be a sad song. And, but since Frank and I have gotten to know each other, he's my producer and my publisher. And so we've had a relationship now for probably the better part of 3 years, and he knows who I am. And he's like, dude, the one thing that this album is missing is showcasing that humorous side of your personality. He's like, we don't have that. Like, that's the song we got to find. And so he took this title and he thought, what if it was this? What if this is a funny breakup song? And, he went for a walk on the beach and came back with a whole verse. And I was like, dude, I don't even know why we're asking the question. Let's write the song right now. And it was just really cool the way it kind of came together. And I played it in Milwaukee and Madison. Yeah. For a couple of guitar pulls, and I showcased it for the very first time there, and the crowd went nuts. And I said, "There's something really special about that." It was my real life TikTok moment. I felt.
Right.
So yeah, it was just that if you get that kind of, and I started playing it and incorporating it into the set more and more. Again, because we weren't ready to release a song yet. And I just kept incorporating it, and people kept having the same reaction. And so it just kind of a no-brainer. So I think this is what we need to take to country radio.
I love that.
Again, it's got a little bit of everything on it too. Hey, I want to ask you about this. Congratulations on being named by Rolling Stone as an artist to watch, recently there too. And I mean, touring with all the big names out there too. When you got the news come down, I mean, Rolling Stone is as big as it is and has been for decades after decades. What did it mean to have Frank Ray, an artist to watch, named by Rolling Stone?
I mean, it's just, I think when you think of like the most notable publication out there, Rolling Stone's got to be at the top of the list. And so the fact that I was, I got to kind of be mentioned in the same breath as the publication, it's an incredible honor. It's nothing that's ever lost on me. And since then, we've gotten a lot of really cool things. happen. We've got, CMTs kind of jumped on board as a big supporter of ours, the CMAs, the ACMs. I attended my first ACMs, and just kind of being here with all these iconic organizations now, from Rolling Stones to the Today Show to, LA Times and, CMA, ACMs, all these things that I admired that I always thought were unattainable for me. Right. It's just a dream. The fact that I'm here now and get to say that I'm a part, or at least mentioned with these organizations is an incredible honor. Yeah. I love it.
Awesome. We also saw in one of your pictures, you're wearing a Whiskey Jam hat. So talk to us about playing Whiskey Jam and just like what that means in the community of Nashville.
Whiskey Jam is just that. It's become a staple here for anybody that comes to Nashville, and they put together this the Old Dominion tour that we're on right now, and hoping to take the brand nationwide. And they're just really, really great people over there. They got a great team. They have a great vision. People just liking, people that just like to drink and listen to music. I mean, that was pretty much the idea behind the thought when Ward put it together. And now it's growing into this big, huge thing. And, again, for aspiring artists, you want to come up here. It's almost a rite of passage. You have to play Whiskey Jam or are you even a star, but I tease them now. I was just like, man, you guys have no idea, because they didn't pay me for that, or I'm not asking for that or anything like that. It's just like the branding is right there, and it made the album cover.
Yes, I know.
Ever gonna be a part of my name now, like forever, and I'll be a part of yours. Like, that's
really cool.
But it's very cool. We have a great relationship. I love everybody over at Whiskey Jam. But yeah, I say that was a pretty cool moment. Yeah, pretty cool moment that they made the cover of the album.
Yeah, I'm sure they were excited too.
I'm going to go to the comment section here because we got our friends over at First Cut saying, pretty cool comment here. So I'm going to put it up on the screen, which is cool. He says, I think Lauren Richmond and Frank Ray should do a duet. I'd love to see what the collaboration would bring both Latin-wise and country-wise. So,
yeah. All right. Yeah, that's the beautiful thing right now, too, is that you could – the
collaborations
seem to be a huge, huge thing that are kind of taking over right now. And that's I'd love an opportunity to be able to collaborate with her or any artist, really.
Hey, I want to talk to you about, I always say the artist is as good as the team behind them too. I'm lucky to have this lady in the center of my screen here on my team. But when you look at what goes on behind the scenes, and we saw a lot of it too in the big ballroom there, and Kirsty and I walking in and out, meeting everybody and talking, but meeting fantastic people like Jay Jones and other great people, at BBR Music Group, Stony Creek Records. Talk about your team behind you and just what that means to you as an artist, Frank.
It's just that. It really does. Village. It's things, the music industry is this giant machine. And, if I had to take it on myself, I wouldn't be here talking to y'all today. I'm just very, I'm just a face that gets to kind of take the credit for a lot of people's hard work. And that's, again, another thing that's not lost on me. These men and women that have assembled this team to really just be all Frank Ray is so the idea is so absurd to me that many people would put so much effort into me, but it also makes me want to work that much harder for them. We're all invested in this. My manager Oscar, he was the reason why I kind of started this whole project in the first place. He saw something in me. He's a very ambitious, savvy businessman, and he had several successful businesses, and not once had he ever stepped into the music industry. And just one day he decided, I think I like drinking beer and I like listening to live music. I think I can get into the music industry. And so he found me, and he's like, dude, I think if I just focus my time and effort and this and that, into one artist, I think we could take one artist all the way to the top. That's how much he believes in himself. And my God, he has not let me down, and then of course, but it took a gamble too. It took me leaving my job in law enforcement to pursue this full time. And, I was very inspired by his drive. And so I was just like, man, I'm going to follow this guy, and we make a great team. And, we kind of started to grow the team a little bit once we got with Stony Creek, but, it was all people that are hustlers just like us. And so I love where I'm at right now.
What beautiful words. Thank you for saying all of that. Yes, we love that.
it's a really cool thing. And I say the same thing. I wouldn't be where I'm at without the lady in the middle, Frank, because it's a lot of hard work and teamwork. And she's my right-hand person in this, no doubt, my business partner through all this here at the Backstage Pass, powered by the Sports Guys podcast.com. Come back. We'll do a little rapid fire, put the finishing touches on the show, and check out FrankRayMusic.com. And, of course, the new album, his debut album, self-titled Frank Ray, coming out July 7th. Go pre-save, pre-order now. Get about 5 or 6 tracks to check them out, too. And the ones we've talked about today on the show are a part of the pre-order there, too. Quick time out, a word from Gentle Ben Spirits and Bangtail Whiskey. Coming right back. It is the Backstage Pass, powered by the Sports Guys podcast.com. Hang tight. Go behind the scenes with some of the biggest artists in music today with the Backstage Pass, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. Join Brandon Morrill and his co-host Kirsty Krause as they talk to rising stars and legends about their music careers. Listen to their latest tracks and learn fun facts about the men and women behind the music you love. And be sure to tune into the Backstage Pass Monday through Friday from 3:30 to 6:30, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. And welcome into the Backstage Pass.
The Bangtail pour is comprised of a sweet corn mash base. The front has a subtle sweetness and not too sharp. It has notes of a medium char or white oak for a smoky flavor in the middle, and the tail has a super smooth and warm finish.
And back here with the final segment on the Backstage Pass. Don't forget, next week, another great, just great shows next week. Derek Randall coming on the show Monday, and another hot artist out there too, May Estes, coming here on the Backstage Pass next week too. Those audio problems, he'll have to log back out, log back in. I'm going to talk to him about he was actually on Fox News just a few days ago, and it was a pretty cool platform to kind of spread awareness for mental health and well-being of first responders. And I got to check that out on his Facebook page. So that's the question I'm going to ask you coming back. Back here with Frank Ray on the Backstage Pass, technology at its best here too. Next week, Derek Randall on the show, May Estes, and a whole other great lineup of guests coming up here on the Backstage Pass. Super Bowl winning quarterback here in a few weeks. And, of course, we'll talk some Texas Ranger baseball with MLB Network's Loud Outs co-host C.J. Nitkowski, former Texas Ranger and Houston Astro. We'll talk about the Rangers' hot start to the baseball season. Frank, I wanted to ask you a lot about this. I heard about this. It was a really cool thing. And I know Fox News gave you a chance to kind of give you a platform to spread awareness for mental health and also the well-being of first responders. Campaign so important. Talk about this, and I know you're grateful to be a part of this, changing the conversation. And it was a week of police appreciation kickoff.
Yeah, so we started a mental wellness campaign called Fray. It was an idea that Oscar and I had while we spent some time in D.C. Attending this one convention. And one of the topics of conversation was mental health. But the thing that really stood out was it seems to be something that's gaining more popularity in mainstream pop culture. But coming from a background in law enforcement of 10 years, I was like, I know the stuff that kind of keeps me up at night. And I said, I know I've got my brothers and sisters that wear the uniform. They must be going through the same thing. I can't certainly be the only one. And no one really talks about that. When I talk about mental health and problems that some people might be dealing with, if so-and-so has a bad day, like some Hollywood actor or something like that, it's all over E-News and it's it's trending on TikTok and stuff. But if, Jeff at Cedar Rapids PD is having a bad day, or thinking about taking his life or something like that, nobody's ever going to hear about it. And so it was just one of those things where I was like, somebody's got to ring that bell. And I felt like, as this platform continues to grow, we should do that. And Fox was really, gracious enough to have me on and give me that, that national platform to be able to talk about it. Also being that it's Mental Health Awareness Month. And so, and I just did something with CMT earlier today where I kind of took over their Instagram stories and just talked about, taking care of yourself. it's important, it's important because you're important is what I said. It's like, if we don't have a society that functions and is healthy, then what are we even doing? You know what I mean? And so, but as it relates to first responders, it's a very difficult job, and it's way too often thankless. And, they deal with trauma on a daily basis. And I'm talking whether you're EMS, fire, PD, emergency room, nurse, doctor, whatever it is that you do. If you provide a public service and you're usually the first on scene, you're going to deal with a lot of stuff, and it's stuff that's going to take a toll on you both physically and mentally. And it's important that it's important that you're heard, and it's important that you have access to the resources that are available out there from different organizations trying to provide a service to make sure that you're the better version, the best version of yourself you can possibly be to continue to provide a service to the community.
No doubt. I'm glad they give those platforms to stand on. We need more people to speak up about that, because mental health is so important for everybody out there too, no matter what line of work you're in, especially you mentioned public service jobs too. Well, hey, I'm going to start rapid fire with this. I know you got a chance to go on the tours. You mentioned the Old Dominion tour too as well right now. But I mean, sharing stages, you mentioned the ACM Awards last week. I thought it was a great show. And then, you've gone out there and stepped on the stage with, Kane Brown and Luke Bryan, Luke Combs. What's that been like to just kind of soak all that up and just you do your thing, go out there and watch them do their thing? And some people like to say, going back to school and taking some notes, and just watching Luke Bryan and Luke Combs must be amazing, right?
That's exactly it, man. I mean, you kind of like pick and choose what aspects you'd like to incorporate, and then put your own little spin on it. And I actually associate that a lot with my time as a police officer. I had to shadow a bunch of different officers, both on graves, swing shift, and days. And you shadow them before they send you on your way, right? And you take little things like, I like this person's organizational skills. I like the way this person's this command presence. I like the way this officer drives. I don't know, little things like that. And so you're just like you pick up little tools of the trade, and I use that. I use that kind of skill in country music. I've gotten to watch a lot of performers. I've gotten to open up for a lot of people outside of the country world. Bret Michaels, is an incredible entertainer, and it was a master class. I was just watching a master class, and so I'm very fortunate that I get to share the stage with these artists, and work on my craft and try to provide a more entertaining show for the people spending their hard-earned money to come out and listen to some country music.
No doubt.
And definitely can picture, I haven't been to a live show yet, but we definitely look forward to seeing you live. And I can picture some maybe dance moves like Luke Bryan happening. That would be really fun.
Well, not for nothing, but I think they're better.
But then that inspired my next question. You've been on the road with so many people. Has there been any road pranks? Has there been any on the road pranks that have happened?
Yeah. Probably the most memorable one. It's gonna be hard to tell. But Toby Keith.
Okay.
Rode with Toby Keith and his crew, and I laugh at all the Mexican jokes and stuff like that. I'm a pretty easygoing kind of guy. I think the whole culture in general, we don't really get offended. So we kind of start cracking jokes and kind of laughing at ourselves and this and that, and they had a lot of fun with it too. And so once they said, okay, these guys are cool, and let's kind of pick on them a little bit, it started out with my green room having a poster that said Frank Ray, sponsored by the Home Depot. I got such a kick out of that. We were laughing so hard. And then the band and I, the following day, we go to the next place, and now it says Frankie Rayos and the Flying Hatch Green Chili Brothers, right?
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, okay. So I'm from New Mexico. Hatch Green Chili is a big thing over there.
Mm-hmm.
And then we wind up in Wichita, Kansas, and we're at this big arena, and all over these giant LED screens throughout the arena is a picture of me, the cheesiest pose. It's like this, and it's like they put all these bright colors and like little piñata streamers in the back. Like whoever designed this thing took a lot of time. But it says Wichita, Kansas welcomes Frankie Rayos and the Flying Hatch Green Chili Brothers. And so I can see the confusion on people's faces as they're walking into the arena thinking, I thought we were going to go to a Toby Keith show. But that's not the best part. The best part was as I'm closing out my set and I'm playing Country Look Good on You, everyone starts laughing, right? I'm in the front of the runway and everyone's laughing. I was like, what? This is a sexy song. I was like, my fly down, what's going on? And Toby Keith and his crew had lowered this massive piñata from the rafters.
Oh,
Dude, it came out onto the to the catwalk, and one of the production guys came out and handed me a stick and said, "Have at it, man." And so I
oh
broke
my
the
God.
piñata at my last time playing with Toby Keith. It was so funny.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it was a really, really great. It was really, really cool. And then afterwards, they sent us home with a little a box of just salsas and tequila and chips and gift cards to Taco Bell. It was the greatest. I love those guys. I love those guys so much.
What a story.
That's really cool. Yeah.
Story. Hey, I want to ask you about this because I know we were talking for the show, sports-wise, big boxing fan, and back on April 22nd, Ryan Garcia and Gervonta Tank Davis. Thoughts on the fight?
Man, it was a hyped up fight, man. I am a huge boxing fan. I love it. It certainly didn't live up to the expectations, though, in my opinion. I thought Ryan was going to give a better performance, but Tank put him on the canvas, and that was it, man. I'm more excited about Devin Haney and Vasily Lomachenko this Saturday, and I'll be out in the casino in Iowa somewhere, so I'm sure I'll catch the fight. As soon as we're done with this set, I'm going to go find a bar at the casino, and I know they'll have the fight playing. I'm just really excited about that.
No doubt about it, too.
Awesome.
What you got for rapid fire? What you got?
Okay. Speaking of boxing and dangerous things, that's fun for this next question. Have you ever jumped out of a plane or done anything crazy like that?
Oh, gosh, I haven't jumped out of a plane. More so now because they won't let me. They're just like, no, we spent too much money on you. We need to not jump out of planes. Probably the craziest thing I did was when we were down in Louisiana, got in one of those swamp boats and went to go look at all the gators. And yeah, you're going to just pet one on the nose.
That's crazy. That's awesome.
Anything that's got like a death roll name in it. Not smart. I shouldn't have done that. But.
I love that. All right, let me this one here because we love doing this. The first song Frank Ray ever sang on stage, what was it?
Yes.
Oh gosh. Oh wait, like ever or like
ever? Just
ever.
Wow. Oh God. If I had to really think back on that.
Itty bitty Frank Ray.
I think it was something like that. Tim McGraw.
Something like that. Yes. Love that.
I think so. That's my earliest memory, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's a good question.
What you got? We'll wrap it up. One more. What you got?
Oh, how many guitars do you have?
I have 6.
6? Okay.
6 guitars.
Yeah. That's really good.
Yeah, I can't play a single one of them. Yeah.
Point is, you own them. That's a good thing, no doubt.
Right.
Well, I'll tell you what, hell of a job in Nashville at Country Radio Seminar. Great to get to know you and Oscar and everybody at BBR Music Group and Stony Creek. Kicking ass, taking names. He's out there doing his thing. The debut album is July 7th.
Yes.
Frank Ray's album. Go pre-order now. Leave him a like on social media and check out FrankRayMusic.com. One of the best out there. Frank, we appreciate the time. Looking forward to doing this again.
Listen, Don, can I just say really quickly, if you don't get the credit that you deserve, if you don't hear it enough, this is an incredible platform. This is really, really awesome what you guys are doing. I loved every minute of it. This is so cool. The commercials and all that stuff, little ticker on the bottom there. I just love this, and keep on doing what you're doing, y'all.
Oh, we love that.
Well,
Thank you. Thank you for saying that.
We're going to keep doing it. Let the Wolf go because we're crossing our fingers, Frank. We got nominated for a Josie Music Award for 2023 for Media Company of the Year. So
we're really excited.
Congratulations, Joe. Congratulations.
Thank
I know.
you.
Best of luck. It's really awesome, man. This is such a unique platform, and I love doing this. Thank you.
Got it, no doubt. One of the only Frank Ray. Tomorrow we're back with the show. Great Canadian artists coming on. Jessica Sevier next week. Derek Randall, May Estes, and a whole lot more here on the Backstage Pass, powered by the Sports Guys podcast.com. And, of course, presented by Bangtail Whiskey, Gentle Bend Spirits, and we'll be out there tomorrow night. Randall King, Clay Hollis, honkytonktexas.us in the little town of Silsbee. See you guys soon. For all of us here, have a great